Hi, educators. This is Kennedy Heimerdinger, the State Historical Society of Iowa's Digital Education Coordinator. I am here to unpack our Goldie's History Kits created for K through 5 educators. Let's get started. Goldie's History Kits were created in partnership with the Teaching with Primary Sources grant through the Library of Congress. These digital kits were developed for K through 5 educators to meet the Iowa Core standards for social studies and literacy. Each Goldie's History Kit relates to a primary source set from the State Historical Society of Iowa. The kits encourage students to develop deeper connections to Iowa's history. So what are Goldie's History Kits? So originally these were digital kits created by the State Historical Society of Iowa, and again were developed for K through 5 educators to help meet the Iowa Core standards for social studies and literacy. So these are a great way to incorporate both social studies and literacy into your classrooms. Again, these are related to our primary source sets, which are also on our website, and those are geared towards K through 12 educators, but they relate to those K through 5 primary source sets. And again, these kits were created to help develop deeper connections to Iowa history. Our Goldie's History Kits topics that are available in physical form, again, are for kindergarten through 5th grade, and they include some topics such as children's lives, comparing long ago to today, rules and responsibilities, Meskwaki culture, comparing schools long ago to today. A very popular one in 2nd grade is Buxton, a Lost Utopia, a great Iowa history topic. Transportation. In 3rd grade, immigration to Iowa, westward expansion. 4th grade, learning about Iowa's corn and agriculture industry and the Industrial Revolution. And in 5th grade, very kind of civics heavy with government, democracy and laws, the right to vote, school desegregation, and trade. So let's unpack our physical Goldie's History Kits, which are now available at all your local AEAs in Iowa. So when you check out a kit from the AEA, it'll come in a tub-like box like this, and it'll be labeled Goldie's History Kits, and it'll have the grade level. So for example, on here, we have our kindergarten kit, and the topic in this kit is children's lives comparing long ago to today. And they will also have a sticker on the side for to see that topic and grade as well. And then when you take off the lid to your Goldie's History Kit, you're going to find a few different folders that will be labeled, and then also some books as well that we'll talk about here in a second. So when you look in those folders, there's going to be a manual and a USB tab, a history mystery tab, and think like cards. In the manual and USB, you're going to find an inventory list and kind of a table of contents list that you can see there in the yellow. You're going to have the educator manual, as you can see there, where it says children's lives comparing long ago to today. You can also see that there is a USB drive. Now, there's a little bit of a closer look at the comparing long ago to today inventory list. And on that flash drive, when you plug it into the computer, you're going to be able to have digital kind of the materials of the educator resources, the worksheets that we'll talk about, student materials that you can either use digitally or print out for your students to use while using this Goldie's History Kit. And then we also have some contact information if you have any specific questions about the contents or how to use the Goldie's History Kit on that inventory list. Now, the educator's manual is kind of the bulk of a Goldie's History Kit. This is where you're going to find all the different contents of a Goldie's History Kit, and it's going to have kind of tips and tricks for teachers to use them in their classrooms. And as you can see, there is a table of contents. We also have color-coded the different sections of a Goldie's History Kit that we'll discuss here in a little bit, and page numbers to help you use a Goldie's History Kit. Now, when using a Goldie's History Kit, we have a lot of teachers ask, do I have to use it exactly how it is? Do I have to use every part of it? And the correct answer is no. These are very flexible for teachers to use. If they want to use every little bit of the Goldie's History Kit, we'd be more than happy for you to do that. But you can also use different parts or only small sections, or you can go out of order. It's very flexible to use how works best in your classroom. So Read Iowa History is going to be the first content of your Goldie's History Kit. And Read Iowa History are structured lesson plans, integrating primary sources and literacy skills. So let's take a look at Read Iowa History. So when you look at Read Iowa History in your educator's manual, there's going to be different lesson plans that you can walk through. So for example, this here is going to be focused on a primary source called Postcard View of Center Street in Buxton, 1908. First off, you're going to see a compelling question and a lesson supporting question that's going to be focused on throughout this Read Iowa History. So our compelling question is, what key decisions influence whether a community thrives? So throughout this Read Iowa History, you're going to, the compelling question is what you want your students to answer, be able to answer by the end of these lessons. And the lesson supporting questions are going to help answer that compelling question. So the lesson supporting question for this is, how is Buxton a unique community? So if students can answer that lesson supporting question, it's going to help them answer the compelling question. You're then going to have an overview of the primary source and the lesson plan, and it looks like you're going to be analyzing an image, which again is that postcard view of Center Street in Buxton. You're also going to have a source background. We have a lot of primary sources in our Goldie's History Kit, since that's a large focus, and a lot of times we're not going to know absolutely everything about those sources. So we give some source background for educators to help understand those sources as well. Then we get into the materials. So you can see here all the different materials you're going to need. And most of the time, all those materials will be present in the Goldie's History Kit. So you're going to want the postcard view of Center Street in Buxton image, which again will be in your educator manual. And then also the Analyze an Image worksheet. Now again, that is going to be in the educator manual, but you will also have access to that in the on the USB flash drive included in your Goldie's History Kit. And then you'll also want a computer or document or a projector for that those materials. Now, then you get into step-by-step instructions. So as you walk through, it'll give specific instructions on how to utilize this lesson. And then you can see here, instructions continued. You're just going to go step by step following those instructions. But also don't forget to look at the kit connections. Now the kit connections help to piece together the entire Goldie's History Kit. So as you can see here, refer to the History Mystery Minors tag, which is in a different section of the Goldie's History Kits. But if you decide I'm going to use the entire Goldie's History Kit, you can connect different parts during your lesson. So you can also refer to the History Mystery Gas Analyzer Air Test Kit. It gives you the page number and ways to connect that. So it's saying here, discuss the questions that accompany the object to better understand the dangers of working in a coal mine. Now, the Goldie's Kit connections, we 100% encourage you to use them, but again, all of this is flexible and use it how you feel fits best in your classroom. And then lastly, these lessons also have a summative to help your students better understand. Our next section in our Goldie's History Kit is the Read Aloud. Each kit comes with 3 to 4 books to read aloud to students, and then also text-dependent questions. So let's take a look. When you unpack your Goldie's History Kit, this is probably my favorite part of a Goldie's History Kit because they actually come with the physical books that you will need in your read aloud. So for example, this is in kind of our toys and games, looking at, we have a book called The Field, Anybody's Games, and Toys and Games, Then and Now. So again, when you check out these kits from your AEA, you will have these physical books to read to your students. Now, in the read aloud, so for example, for Buxton, A Lost Utopia, in your educator manual, you will have an introduction to the read aloud, and again, kind of talking about the topic and the perspectives that will be seen in the books. Again, you'll have a list of what's included. Each read aloud activity features a hard copy of the book, description of the book, reasoning for its inclusion, and text dependent questions. So for a list of the books, but all the books will also be in your kit. And it'll kind of talk about why each book was chosen, which is great. It helps educators understand why our team and the teachers that we worked with chose these books for this kit. So for example, one of the books in Buxton is titled Out of the Deeps. It gives you the title right there. It gives you the information of the authors, the year it was publicized, and what kind of book it is. It's fiction, it's a storybook. So it gives that book and genre type. You also, again, get that book description, a little background on the book, and then why this book was chosen to help educators better understand how it can connect to the entire theme of the kit. And then lastly, there are text-dependent questions. So that while you're reading the book to your students or after reading the book to your students, there are text-dependent questions to help them understand that text a little bit better and the connection it has to the theme. The next section is History Mystery. So this is also in your Goldie's History Kit in your educative manual. It's the third section. And this is where students are going to be investigating objects from the State Historical Museum of Iowa and the collection we have in Des Moines, Iowa. Now, unfortunately, we can't have the actual objects because we, as museum professionals, the integrity and preserving our objects is very important. But we do have photo and videos of these objects to show in your classroom. So when you unpack your Goldie's History Kit, there's going to be these kind of 8x10 laminated cards with history mystery photos. So as you can see here, we have a little doll carriage, we have a dress, and again, we'll kind of show you how you can incorporate this into your classroom. So the history mystery activity, again, teachers can use this however they see fit in their classroom, but we do give some suggestions for how you can do this. So the type of activity, most of the time when we do a history mystery, it is group work. You can do, individual activities, but it's usually a lot more engaging with that group work. It also gives you before the activity. So you're going to have the object pages from this manual available. You're going to want to separate your students into groups. And again, you can choose the most effective, convenient way to display the object photos. And again, on that flash drive that is in your kit, there will also be some videos of some objects, which is a really cool way to show your students history. Again, we also have worksheet options that you can use, and if they have not already read it, or you can read it to them, but please read the background essay about children's lives over time to help them kind of give them a little help with figuring out what the objects might be. And then it's just like it says during the activity. It is recommended that the students receive 4 to 5 minutes to analyze the object with the worksheet provided, and they're going to try and use their historical thinking skills to figure out what this object potentially could be. And you're just going to be repeating this process, engaging your students, asking, trying to find these connections to the topic, and figure out what the object might be, hence the history mystery. Lastly, on the last aspect of our Goldie's History Kits is the Think Like cards. So these are cards featuring prominent Iowans in history to integrate with your lesson plans. So let's take a look. So in each kit is going to have 4 cards that they're going to be the same in every kit that you get. And these are going to be where it says, think like a historian. think like a journalist, think like an economist, where the students are putting on different lenses to look at history. And then we also have an Iowan who had that profession. So for example, the historian that will always be focused on is Louise Noun. And it gives students some background information on who they are. And also for the Think Like a Historian, there are some questions that they might ask to study history. But then in each kit, there will be 3 specific people connected to that topic. So for example, for Buxton, A Lost Utopia, you want students to think like Dr. Edward Carter. And on the bottom there, you can see it gives some background information on who Dr. Edward Carter was, and then again, some questions to help them understand and connect to the topic. We also, again, think like cards can be used any way that you see fit in your classroom, but we do have some suggested activities for your classroom with the Think Like cards. So again, kind of below are a few suggestions of activities you can use with students. A lot of times these pair well with our Read Iowa History plans. So you could kind of integrate those into your lesson plans if you feel that that fits well. A lot of times one of the activities is taking them and connecting them to those kit connections. So, choose a kit connection with a Think Like card you would like to use, and you can connect it to an object or primary source from the kit. Again, going through this type of activity before activity and during activity can help you utilize those Think Like cards to the best of their ability. But then we also have some group work that you can kind of use a standalone activity with the Think Like cards. And again, it will focus on the type of activity, things you can do before the activity and during the activity. So to kind of wrap up here, our Goldie's History Kits, the physical kits, and they are also available online for use digitally and download and print, but they are now available at your local AEAs to check out and use in your classroom, which can be a great resource, especially with those read aloud books that are in the kits. Again, these kits are meant to be used however you see fit with your classroom, but take a look inside the educator manual to help you utilize them to the best of their ability. For questions on how to check out these physical kits, contact your local area education agency. But for questions about Goldie's History Kits in general, you can contact us at museumeducation@iowa.gov or kennedy.heimerdinger@iowa.gov as well. We hope you enjoy these kits, and we hope you love and enjoy and show students how much Iowa history can impact their lives. Thank you so much.